Just so everyone knows, we are live streaming and recording.
Good evening, people.
Good evening.
Good evening, buddy.
I'm having trouble with my computer. I was just talking to my tech guy.
Did Manning get in?
I got in. I had my tech guy on my computer. I had to pull out of everything, take the battery out. They're having trouble with Outlook. When I opened up the emails, I had no body.
Oh,
Nothing written
okay. So
on
you're
any
in.
of it. Yeah, they're having trouble with Outlook, but I got in. It changed my password, Pat, and I changed it back, and I saw it join. I go, yeah.
Hey, Manny, that's why you're supposed to be using your iPad, buddy, not your computer.
I gotta find it. I gotta.
Okay, well, that's what they're for.
I don't know. I can't find it.
Don't blame your computer, but you're supposed to be using the town-issued iPad for the meetings.
I think it was stolen.
Oh, well, you signed an agreement. You're gonna be responsible for a new one, my friend. They're coughing up.
Annie, I have those agreements tucked away in a nice, accessible place.
Exactly. Getting a bill from township.
You go straight to detention.
Thanks.
Please, not another lost laptop.
Yeah, but
Don't bring that up.
Bite your
Lord.
tongue. I don't want it lost like the first one. You know what I mean?
No.
Good evening, John. Jack.
Hello, hello.
Gotta get back to these 7:30 meetings.
No, I want the 5:30 like Chrissy emailed today. Move it up, Manny. 5:30.
For giving you false hope, Jonathan.
You want to give me an ulcer?
Dude, 5:30. Come on.
Come on.
You can't get from Morristown to Rockaway Township at 5:30.
All right, let's make them 4:30.
Any time after 3 o'clock till about 6:30, it's impossible.
True. You got to cut through Route 53. Take the back roads.
Doesn't help. Trust me, I've tried everything.
Oh yeah, try to go past that hospital and forget about it. Now they've got detours. They're all working on roads. Did you see that accident on the news at the mall this weekend? That SUV,
Oh, yeah.
the SUV flipped over on a red.
Ms. Seeger, have you heard from Ms. Noon? You're muted if you're speaking, Pat.
I'm trying to get Mary on, so give me one more second, please.
All right. And I see Mr. Brooks, but I don't see Mr.
Oof.
There he is.
Council President,
Yes.
just so you're aware, I don't believe you were on when I first announced it, but we are live streaming and recording. So whenever we're good to go, we're good on my end.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I noticed up in the top right, it shows it. Cool. Thank you. Any update, Ms. Seeger?
Yeah, she's trying to get there.
Give her 2 more minutes and then we're going to move forward.
Chrissy, she's going to be entering as a participant. If you can switch her over to a panelist, please.
I see her now. Hold on.
I see Mary. Mary, can you talk?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. It is 6:33. I'm calling the meeting to order. Please join me with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. At this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember the services and sacrifices of the armed service members who protect our nation and the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Quinn.
Here.
Councilmember Friedlander.
Here.
Councilmember Kritz.
Here.
Councilmember Salberg.
Here.
Councilmember Brooks.
Here.
Councilmember Noon.
Here.
Vice President Sackett.
Here.
President Jackson.
Here, we have a quorum. Please be advised that all electronic remote meetings of the Township Council held on WebEx are recorded. All members of the public will be provided the opportunity to speak during any public hearing or open to the public sections of the meeting. The Township Clerk will unmute each member of the public and ask if they wish to speak. As per Rockaway Township Code 2-5.14, any person desiring to address the council shall first seek recognition by the presiding officer, and upon recognition by the chair, the person shall give their name and address for the record. Unless further time is granted by the council, they shall limit their statement till 5 minutes. Statements shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. A councilman shall not direct any question to a speaker addressing the council except through the presiding officer. In addition to speaking on the record during council meetings, members of the public may submit questions and comments to the council by emailing questions@rockawaytownship.org by the end of the open to the public session. This meeting was advertised in the Daily Record and the Star Ledger, the official newspapers for the Township of Rockaway, on April 10th, 2021. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township. Before we get into the rest of the agenda, I would like to start by making a motion to remove item 12 from the agenda, as it has nothing to do with council business. Anybody wish to second that motion?
So moved.
You could take the roll call.
Discussion, Council President?
No, we talked about this last week. This
We
is
didn't
nothing-
talk about it.
Yes, we did. You had time to talk last week.
Council
Clerk,
President, it does relate to township business. It's not a,
Clerk, you could take the
we're
roll
talking
call.
about getting records from our administration.
Clerk, please take the roll call. Mr. Kelly, you're out of order. You're not recognized.
I'm not out of order.
Councilmember Kelly,
Out of order.
I'm not out of order. That's no.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes. That's 8 yeses, 1 no. Motion carries. Item 12 is removed from the agenda. Next is item 6, approval of the minutes. We have April 27th, 2021 regular meeting. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
That was the revised minutes, though.
I'll second.
So it was Mr. Quinn and Mr. Sackett. Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
No.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 8 yeses, 1 no. Minutes are approved. Next item is item number 7, ordinances to adopt. We have O-21-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, alcoholic beverage control of the general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Kelly, seconded by Mr. Quinn. Ms. Seeger, have we received any emails with anybody asking questions about this?
No, Council President.
Clerk, you can go through the public.
Al Cerullo,
Nothing, thank you.
Jim Waters,
No comment, thank you.
Chris Bush,
No comment.
Lily Sweet,
No comment, thank you.
Pat Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Patrick Egan,
No comment, thank you.
William Degnan,
No comment. Thank you.
Yogi Gupta,
No comments. Thank you.
and I think I saw someone else log in. Give me
Yeah.
one moment.
Michael Artie, he's halfway up. I think he's unmuted already too.
Michael Lardy, I don't see that he has audio.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't, right? Okay, That's it, right? I don't see anybody else.
Yes.
So I'll allow 5 minutes of council discussion if anybody likes to speak. Okay, clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kretz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks, Councilmember Brooks.
I said yes, you didn't hear it?
No.
We did that time.
Thank you. Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next, we have O21-22, an ordinance amending Chapter 10 entitled Police Department of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Rockaway to provide the administration with discretion to hire entry-level police officers pursuant to NJSA 11A:4-1.3. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Freelander, seconded by Mr. Quinn. Mr. Seeger, do we have any emails on this one?
No, Council President.
Okay. Okay, Chrissy, I'll let you go through the public.
Al Cerullo,
Nothing, thank you.
Jim Waters,
Thank you.
Chris Bush,
No comment.
Lily Sweet, Lily Sweet, Michael Lardy,
No comment.
Pat Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Patrick Egan,
No comment, thank you.
William Degnan,
No comment, thank you.
Yogi Gupta,
No comments.
Okay, that's all I see. I'll allow 5 minutes of council discussion if anybody wants to talk.
I would let anybody go before me if they wish to.
Go ahead, Mr. Kelly, you're recognized.
On this ordinance that we have here, which is to allow the administration to hire police officers without going through the civil service test. However, they would have to have an entry-level police training that's recognized by the state police. I have a couple of questions with regard to this. So it's a bill that came down from Murphy with regards to changing this provision in the civil service. So just bear with me with a couple of questions and hopefully our administration can answer those questions pretty quickly. Currently right now, since we haven't passed this ordinance and the bill doesn't take place until August 4th, have we started recruitment process for a hiring of police officers? Mrs. Seeger?
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Seeger,
Mi-
you're recognized to answer any of these
Can I,
questions.
can I be
At this time,
recognized?
We don't have
Yes.
any openings.
And Mayor Puzio, if I may, just real quick, Mr. Mayor. I'm not looking for a lengthy amount of response to absorb my time. It's just simple yes or no if there's a recruitment taking place now.
I'm just trying to understand I'm not looking to give a lengthy explanation. I'm just wondering what recruitment has to do with this ordinance.
It's a simple question. Do you have a recruitment that's right now? Do you have a notice for hiring a police officer?
I'm always exploring recruiting people, always.
Do you have a notice right now that's currently active for searching for a police officer or recruiting a police officer?
I need to know, Mr. Kelly, What does
I
that
have a
have
next
to do with
question. You're
this
not going to
ordinance?
answer the obvious.
No, I just did. I said I'm always recruiting. I always put out
Do we have a current
advertisements.
recruitment notice right now or a notice for a position for a police
We
officer?
we constantly do that. I'm
Do we have
always
them right
looking.
now in place?
We always do. I don't know how much. I don't know how much clearer I can be.
So it's
We
posted
always
then,
have one.
Mr. Mayor? Is
Yes,
it, would it be?
yes, Mr. Kelly. We always put out postings through different media outlets. We try to get resumes for people who may be interested. We're always doing that.
Okay. So on the bulletin board outside, we have a notice right now for recruitment.
Okay, I haven't looked at the bulletin board. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
You just told me you always, so I would assume that we do. We wouldn't just
Oh,
have it in one location.
Hmm.
With this ordinance that we're passing, Mr. Mayor, and I know it was something that you explored with the town attorneys prior to this happening here. Is there a potential military bypass? So if we have an individual that served, that was in the military, that is currently on the list with civil service, can we bypass that military applicant?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question. We are a civil service department, and currently civil service is putting out a framework. It hasn't come out yet since this is new legislation. So civil service will put out a framework that we will have to abide by. This ordinance does not bypass civil service. It just increases our ability to hire. Civil service is still in place, and they will tell us how we have to hire our entry-level police officers. They design the framework. So that would be a question for them, and the framework has not been produced yet. This is in anticipation of that legislation has been passed, and then this is in anticipation of civil service putting out a framework as to what rules we will have to follow.
But we could also have individuals that are on the civil service list that have the training, and nothing bars us to hire off the civil service list, right?
Training for what?
Well, whether it's an alternate route, whether they're a police officer in another municipality and they want to come over into Rockaway.
Oh, so are you finished? I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
To make sure that I'm clear. So what you're saying is that someone who is already trained would take the entry-level civil service test? Because that's how currently, right at this juncture in time, right now as we speak, someone who is trained who wants to come over to Rockaway Township has to take a civil service exam and score high enough on the test.
Right, and that's what we're trying to amend here to allow us to bypass that.
No, it's not. We're not bypassing that. We're a civil service town. This was legislation put in by the state, which we're just going to be following. And
Well,
we
we
need
don't
an
have to
ordinance.
I understand that, Mr. Mayor, but we don't have to do this, though. This isn't a requirement for us to have to hire somebody that's a police officer or has the training. I'm just a little concerned that we have a list that's already there. We've already hired off of that list. And there are other individuals that are currently on that list whose number has moved up now since the most recent hire. And I'm concerned that somebody here under this ordinance and under the bill from the governor, potentially that individual that's been waiting, who doesn't have the training in place at the moment, but yet has been patiently on that list with the potentiality of being hired, may be bypassed if we move forward. Because I mean, I believe we already have a recruitment to hire one officer right now that's in place.
We don't have any openings right now.
Okay. That's looking to hire somebody maybe in June. And I'm just making sure that we don't disenfranchise somebody that's currently on the list to hire somebody else. I mean, I don't know why we're doing this, since it's not a mandated requirement.
It's good for the town
How
because
so?
as you know, there's a training period for, I'll explain to you on both ends how it's good for the town. The state put this in place. I didn't ask the state to do this. The state put this in place. So this also allows officers who are currently, we can't just look at this ordinance as a Rockaway Township ordinance. This can help and hurt us, this ordinance. You have officers who may want to move to a different department, another civil service department, and now we could potentially lose officers. They could say they don't enjoy working in Rockaway. They want a different environment. They want to get experience. They want to move to a larger or a smaller department. So now this law that was passed by the state. So now we have to protect ourselves. We could have officers who could choose to just leave Rockaway. Then if we don't enact this, how are we going to get our officers, get the entry-level officer up and running, where it's going to take 6, 7, 8 months. It's going to take an academy class. It's going to take interviewing processes. All of that has to take place when we hire directly off of the civil service list. So this, in a sense, it gives us the flexibility to hire qualified candidates, to hire the best candidates. And also, if candidates want to leave, current officers want to leave, we need to backfill them as quick as possible. So I'm looking at this from both ends. Civil service guides us as to our hiring practices. It's no different than if anyone here owned a business, anyone in the public owns a business. Wouldn't you want to be able to hire the most qualified or the best candidates? Why would you want to limit yourself?
Mr. Mayor, what makes you believe that the individual that doesn't have that training isn't potentially the best candidate that could be for Rockaway Township?
Well,
Mr. Mayor, hold on a second. I mean, right now, what you're saying is those officers that we have right now couldn't be the best officers? I believe that they are. And some of them, if not the large majority of them, were not somebody that went alternate route. They are somebody that was not a police officer in another department somewhere else in New Jersey. So what you're telling me is because of the people on the list, we're getting the best now because of this ordinance 2122. I think that's a wrong thing to say, especially to those officers that haven't had the ability to take the test, maybe because of financial means, maybe because they couldn't get in the alternate route program or have some other type of training before the opening for the application for the test for civil service. I mean, I think you're limiting it only to where it works for you to pass this. I think it's concerning with the other officers. I mean, quite frankly, Mr. Mayor, if you were really concerned with that, you would lift the residency requirement for the hiring of a police officer. I mean, in order to hire a police officer, you have to reside in Rockaway. But in order to be a police officer, after you're hired, you don't have to live in Rockaway. So we've turned down even military applicants because they don't meet the residency requirement. That could be phenomenal applicants and police officers and maybe even the next chief. So when I see when you're telling me one thing and I'm looking at this ordinance, I think what it allows, and this is my opinion, you could just pick who you want. Well, you know what? I know this person, I know that person, that's concerning to me because what you label as the best applicant, how do you know?
I can't tell you that. I haven't interviewed the future applicants yet.
Right, but I mean, so you're the ultimate determining factor of who the best person would be for that job? That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
It's
you're
not.
the
It's
only
not.
one that can decide who's the best for that job when there's other individuals that don't have the luxury to take those other programs or have the opportunity to be a police officer. To me, I think you're discriminating them.
I don't. May I speak?
We can agree to
Council
disagree.
President? Oh, absolutely. I don't think you understand civil
Go ahead,
service.
Mr. Mayor.
No, I understand
Okay,
civil service. You're trying to bypass that.
Mr. Kelly, we're not. We can't bypass civil service. Civil service is going to put in the framework to this program. I don't know how you're saying. I'm not going to continue down this road, but
that's okay.
I'm just going to remind you that civil service will be guiding us as to the recently passed legislation. It's not. Do you know how much is? Do you know? Do you know how much? Can I ask you this question? Do you know how much it is to take a civil service exam?
I do not.
Okay, so you said it's expensive. Other people
Well,
can't
alternate
afford to
route would
take
be
it.
expensive if it was like $7,000 to
Well,
$10,000 to
no.
do an alternate route.
I'm talking about the entry level exam. It's $25. It
Okay.
may be 50, and I'm not negating that to some folks
No, I'm
that's
talking about the
expensive.
alternate route. So please not mistake the application
But
fee.
this doesn't just deal with alternate route. This deals with current officers, maybe from another department, who want to come to Rockaway. They want to work in Rockaway.
Sure.
They don't. So I don't understand the expense there.
Okay,
Well,
this
expense would-
conversation's
Okay.
gonna be, this conversation's been going on for 10
Yeah.
minutes. Are there any other council
Okay.
members? that
I'm not
want
over.
to-
I still have some other questions though.
You're
Real
not
quick.
recognized any
I got
longer,
2
Mr.
minutes of
Kelly.
just additional
Mr.
stuff.
Kelly, you're not recognized
Mr.
any
Jackson,
longer. You've been talking for 10 minutes. Too bad. You're
You
not
took up my time.
You're out of order. You're out of order. You've been talking for
Let the
10
mayor take
minutes.
up my
You're out of
2
order.
additional minutes.
Anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Nope.
Yes, Council President.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Salberg. You're recognized.
Thank you. Question for the mayor. Mr. Mayor, by these candidates being on this list, did we provide any guarantee that they would keep that position in that list? Or, has it always been understood that it's subject to change?
The list is generated by civil service, and they there's requirements or rules that we have to follow that, that govern who we hire. When we hire someone off of the civil service list, depending on how many openings we have, if any, we contact civil service. We ask them to certify 10, 15, 20 people, because many times some of the candidates that are interviewed, they may not meet the criteria to work in Rockaway Township. So we always ask for more and interview more, so we can, select. There's a process that you have to go through. You have to go through, be on the list first. You have to then pass a psychological, background examination. You get interviewed. There's multiple stages to the examination process, to the overall hiring process. So civil service dictates what we do, and they would dictate the framework as to how we're allowed to hire. Ultimately, the hiring decision, yes, is up to me. I'm the appointing authority by law. That's the way our form of government is. That's the way it's structured. And yes, that would fall upon my shoulders. I have to sign off on those hires.
Understood. And us if we were to adopt this, we would not be deviating from, civil service requirements. We would be in full alignment with our requirements needed to follow to hire police officers.
Absolutely. And this also, as I said, protects the town, because now this is going to open up opportunities for current Rockaway Township police officers. Maybe they want to move to a different department. We have to make sure that we're prepared to backfill those spots without waiting 6 months, 6 or more months for a person to go through the academy.
Understood. So this is not unique or radical to Rockaway. This is coming from best practices from Trenton.
No, quite frankly, Adam, many towns within Morris County and throughout the state don't have the civil service model. They have what is called the chief's examination, and some don't even have that, where it's totally up to internally the police department, the mayor, whatever structure they have in place. They do not have civil service. They interview and send their candidates through the background, and they hire. That's what alternate
Understood.
route was originally designed for. Those
Understood.
departments.
Great. No, thank you, Mayor. No more questions,
Thank
Council
you.
President. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. So with this, we could hire officers from coming out of alternate route, correct?
Absolutely, we could hire them off of the list. We could hire them through alternate route, a combination. Yes.
So I guess my question would be like today we don't hire off alternate route, correct?
That would be correct.
So if we hired off alternate route versus the list, that would be probably substantial dollar savings to the taxpayer, wouldn't it be? I mean, I don't, because we wouldn't have to pay for the person to go through the academy.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have to pay for their equipment in the academy. We wouldn't have to pay their salaries, health benefits. It's a huge savings for the town.
Clerk, you could take the roll call.
Council President, I still have one question left.
No, you're not recognized.
I have, listen, you're
Clerk,
going
you
to
could
get
take
5
out of
minutes.
order. You're out of order, Mr. Kelly.
Councilmember Kelly,
No.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes, that's 8 yeses, 1 no. Motion carries. Next is open to the public. Mrs. Seeger, as of right now, have we gotten any emails?
Not at this time, Council President.
Clerk, you can go through the public.
And I would like to remind the members of the public, if you'd like to speak, please state your name and address for the record before you go into your comment. Al Cerula,
Nothing, thank you.
Jim Waters,
Yeah, Jim Waters, 48 Seneca Avenue in the township. I was just curious about, after hearing the discussion, what the role of the council is in individual hiring and perhaps firing decisions, which would seem to me to fall to the responsibility of the administration. Is there a significant role for the council other than improving ordinances like this?
That in his report, Mr. Waters.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Chris Bush,
How you doing? Chris Bush, 4 Stone Ridge Court, Rockaway, New Jersey. I'm calling in tonight out of frustration. Frustration about our administration. You know, I sit here, I'm in the fire service. We have had an issue in the past regarding our generator at our firehouse. We follow the proper chain of command. Nothing has been done. Out of desperation, when we had the issue back in February, a councilman came down and got our generator running. Administration was more concerned about this council person being in our building than the issue at hand. Today was the straw that broke the camel's back. You know, this is ridiculous. We had a power outage today. Guess what? The generator didn't work. Town was supposed to provide preventative maintenance. This hasn't been done in over 2 years. They haven't done preventative maintenance. They haven't fixed the problem. You know, this is only one example of things that do not get done in this town. You know, how many times has the can got to get kicked down the road for the fire service, you know, before something happens where a resident's property or a resident gets hurt? This is ridiculous. And this is only one instance that this happens. You know, I have other instances where I have purchases that the council approved in the past. The council has approved purchases and administration did not purchase it. I had vendors emailing me, asking me what's going on. We've been trying to contact administration to get the PO signed so we can get things going. Again, nothing, deaf ears. This doesn't get done. And I personally had this happen to me. The town refused to fix a piece of equipment. I went out and purchased the parts myself. Brought them to the firehouse, fixed the piece of equipment. I got told I had to get set up as a vendor. I'm a public contractor. That day, sent all my paperwork in, got all my public works paperwork in. It took 6 months for administration to sign me up as a vendor. Is that right or is that wrong? That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, you guys got to start doing your job to the fullest, especially with the fire service. I hear all this crap about, you know, open requests and pickles at the pickle stands and all this crap that you guys are talking about. And you're talking about a fire service, a volunteer fire service that saves the township money. And you can't even treat us right? You know, come on. This is getting out of hand. You know, and these are only a couple instances that are going on. And if anybody doubts my facts or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to publish them on social media because I have facts. If anybody says I'm wrong, I'm not telling the truth, or I'm lying, forget about it because you're wrong. I have the facts. And if you want me to continue, I have a lot more to go along with this. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bush.
Lily Sweet,
Nothing to say.
Michael Lardy,
Yes, good evening. Michael Lawdy, 19 North Brookside Drive, Rockaway. A couple of things. First, is there any plan to go back into person? I don't know how many people are attending these meetings on the computer, but I'm sure we can get the people back in the building and
Yeah, Mr. Lardy, we've discussed it possibly late summer, fall, going back then.
what's the occupancy now for a meeting? And what is the attendance been at these meetings that we can't accommodate an in-person meeting?
I haven't looked into all those details, but right now I think that's you know what I'm comfortable with doing and comfortable what I'm saying. So the town hall has plans of opening up probably around the same time frame. So I think it would just make sense.
Well, I think we have schools that with gymnasiums, if you needed a bigger space, things could be done to have these in person. I think it's very difficult for people to be able to attend this way. But another comment I have is on the consent agenda F, the resolution regarding White Meadow Lake. Will I be able to speak to that at that time, or do I need to speak to that now?
Now.
All right, then our understanding is that this resolution was going to be, the only events that we would need this permit for would be the food trucks. That was our understanding between conversations that White Meadow Lake has had with the administration. So I don't know if that's actually the case, or if this is just strictly for food trucks, and then the other events would have to be addressed. And I mean, we have many events that are fundraisers for the Women's Club Scholarship. You know, the food trucks, which is usually a Friday several times a year. You know, if it rained, it's something that might be moved to a Saturday if the trucks were available, if, you know, instead of canceling it. That is a possibility. And this resolution here says, you know, they're calling it Food Truck Fridays, but, you know, it could be a different day. But if we can't get some kind of acknowledgement tonight that this resolution is the only thing we're going to need a permit for, and our other events don't fall under this ordinance, that would be fine. But if we're going to have to revisit this, White Meadow Lake is not going to agree to this, you know, signing for a year for, you know, 6 Food Truck Fridays at this fee, and then have to pay permit fees for everything else we do. I mean, we do it on private property. We have our own security, our own staff. We don't hinder the public roadways. We have our own parking lots. We don't need police coverage, except for, you know, the routine stuff that, you know, the regular taxpayers are entitled to. So I don't understand why we would have to be paying a $100 permit fee for every event that we hold for our members.
Can I ask Mr.
Hello?
Mrs. Peterson, please? Can I ask Mr. Liardi a question related to the POA?
No, you're not recognized.
It would help Mr. Liardi out, maybe help the rest of the council understand.
It's okay. You're not recognized.
Sorry, Mr. Liardi.
Can anyone comment on that?
Mr. Mayor, would you want to cover it now, or do you want to talk about it in your report?
We'll talk about it in our report. We'll address it, Mike.
Why not now? I can talk to you.
I mean, this is a resolution that you're amending or amending that is an agreement between us that we don't have an agreement on our end, because we don't have an understanding of it. So
Mike,
I mean, if you pass the agreement, I mean, that's, you know, that's fine. You guys could do whatever you want, but it's a one-sided agreement at this point, because the POA does not have an understanding of what this is going to cover and what our other events are going to be qualify as.
Council President, might be recognized?
Yes.
Pat, Ms. Seeger, our BA, had a lengthy discussion with someone on your board about this.
Yes.
And I'm just going to I'm going to let her speak for a minute. We recently, the council just passed an ordinance enacting fees. In actuality, we just passed an ordinance raising the cost of those fees for these events. Unfortunately, White Meadow Lake is not the only, we have to be consistent, Mike, across the board. And unfortunately, White Meadow Lake has to follow the same guidelines that other communities and other areas and other businesses in town do. I wouldn't be consistent if I didn't follow this and we didn't do the inspections and charge the fees. This is, and I'm going to let Pat speak to that a little bit about her discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Eager.
If Mr. Alardi had called me, I would have explained it to him. This,
But we
this
had
was
somebody on.
enacted. I spoke to the attorney for White Meadow Lake, and the last conversation I had with the attorney was he understood where I was coming from, and it wasn't what he thought it was going to be. He understood it, and he's waiting for some more information from me. And what I'll tell you is this was put into place to actually help people. The zoning and whatever district you're in, zone, or your developers agreement, or whatever kind, or your forget the name of it, your plan is for your property, that it's a site plan. The site plan, the developer's agreement, or the ordinances of what you're zoned in doesn't allow certain things. So I'll give you an example. The mall doesn't allow them to do events in their parking lot. They would have to come and spend $10,000s to do another redevelopment agreement, or if you're in a residential district and you wanted to hold a big wedding, or you wanted to hold a big fair, you wanted to raise money for your soccer team or something, it doesn't allow you to do that according to our ordinances. So instead of costing people a lot of money to apply and go before the board, and it would take months to do that, we came up with a special events permit that actually allows and helps people have their 1 or 2 time event. And actually the special event says it can only happen 4 times. So we offered, since you're going to have it more than 4 times, we offered to do an agreement with you that the ordinance allows us to do. And we've been working with your attorney and the person to actually help you out. And they understood that, and the attorney understood that the last time I talked to him. So it is something that we've been working out. I've been working with them all along, and the money you've paid so far is being credited towards this agreement. And if the person who was running this told us she wanted a rain date for Saturday night, we would have included that in the agreement, but she didn't tell us that. So she said she only does it on Friday nights. So I think part of the problem is White Meadow Lake has to get together and say what all their events are going to be for the year, and we will help you work it out, whatever it is that needs to be worked out, so that you can have your events according to legal. Because Miss Clipperton can to verify this. When you have a food truck, even if you didn't get a permit from us, you would have had to go to her for a temporary daily food truck. Is that right, Miss Clipperton?
It would be a daily food truck permit per each event.
So
How much is
we're
that?
trying to actually help you out to
I
save
don't know
you
the fees
costs.
offhand.
Actually, we're trying to help you to save the cost, and then we coordinate all the departments, so the person running that event will have help from us to tell them what they need for that event, that they have to go to the fire department, that they have to get a health permit, and everything that we would help you do that. So actually and if someone came in and wanted to run a big event, and we said, hey, maybe you want to change that weekend because there's 3 other events going on in town. We have to know how much police we need on staff. We have to know how many health nurses, registered health people that have to come out and examine the trucks to see. We have to know what kind of staff we need for every event that's going on in town. It's really just to help to coordinate the town, Mike. And if you'd come in and talk to me, I would have been happy to explain it to you.
I don't know, can I be heard right now?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Alardi.
The reason I didn't call Pat is because I know she was dealing with the attorney and with Kristen, and I figured I didn't want to bombard her with a third person and, to sit there and talk to everybody about it. But so my question now is, we have other events the Easter egg roll that the Women's Club does for the little kids in the community. We're going to need to get a permit for that. Are we going to be able to get a blanket permit for our events for the year at a reasonable cost so we could do these things? Because we do these things, it's not a profit-making thing that we're doing. We're doing stuff for the children of the community at a nominal cost with volunteers. And if we have to pay an exorbitant amount of a fee for a permit to cover our events for the year, it's going to be very difficult to do a lot of the events that we do.
Well,
But
I'm going to
what you're saying, Pat, we're going to be able to continue our dialogue and then get a blanket agreement with the township for a reasonable cost for an annual permit
You
for
might-
our events.
This
That might-
this one's just for the food trucks. We can talk about those other events because some of those events are not going to require a special events permit. So if you can call me, I'd be happy to take care of you during the week.
Council President, may I be recognized?
Sure.
Yeah, Mike, of course, we're going to have continued dialogue as we always have. All you have to do is, as you have reached out to us,
Right.
We'll try to work things out as best we can.
Okay.
I just have to remind you, Rockaway's a big town. White Meadow Lake is only one section. I sit down with Pat all the time. I sit down with legal. We do the best we can, but ultimately we have to be consistent in our practices and we have to follow our ordinances. But we will continue to have dialogue.
Yeah.
Council President, since the rest of them have been recognized, could I ask a question, Mr. Lardy?
You can go on to the next.
I'd like to ask Mr. Lardy a question if I could, Council President.
You're not recognized, Mr. Kelly.
You're going to let them
Go on to
be
the next
recognized, but you won't let me be recognized.
He was asking them a question, Mr.
I have a question too.
You're out of order.
I would
You're
like-
out of order,
You know
Mr.
what?
Kelly.
If I have to do this, I would like to ask Tucker, because I know Tucker's the only
No.
one that voted against this ordinance when it came
No.
up last
No,
July.
it's okay, Mr. Lardy. Your time's up. We're gonna
Like,
move
see,
on to
that's
the
what
next
happens.
speaker.
See?
I asked actually.
Ms. Clipperton, can you move on to the next speaker, member of the public, please?
Pat Degnan.
Pat Degnan, 88 Valley View Drive. Town Hall has not been opened for quite a while now. Other things are opening, but to have to make appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays is sometimes very inconvenient for the residents. And I think it's about time that we decided to open up some of our facilities because there is never an influx of a great number of people in Town Hall anytime I've been there in the past. And people can wear a mask inside. I mean, 2 days a week for the entire township to come and do their business. I think it's time to loosen up the strings. I mean, restaurants have opened up. Something's never closed during this whole pandemic. I think it's time we considered opening up so that people can do town business that they need to do. My other thing is the White Meadow Lake Fire Department will be doing their Memorial Day sunrise service. They are not sure yet whether they will be serving breakfast. It'll all depend on which restrictions are lifted at that time. But the outdoor Memorial Day ceremony will take place on Memorial Day.
Thank you, Mr. Degnan.
Is Degman, if I could, about
You're
Mr.
not
Gator.
recognized, Mr. Kelly. Please be
The
quiet.
question about
Mr.
the
Kelly, you're
Memorial
out.
Day service.
Ms. Degnan, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, can I just say one thing?
I would just cover it during your report, Ms. Seeger. I don't want to
Okay.
get in question and answer time, so go
No
ahead.
problem.
Yep.
Patrick Egan.
No comment, thank you.
William Degnan.
William Degnan, 88 Valley View Drive. I'm very happy to see the plans for Peterson Field are now published. I really liked what I saw with the baseball fields and the new football area in the upper lot. It actually makes more sense because when you think of how the regular field gets all chewed up during football season, and then you have go into softball and baseball. It takes a lot of those guys, the men and women of rec and township employees, a lot of time to fix up that field in time for football and soccer games. So I really like to see the progress on the basketball courts. I also like the idea of naming the basketball courts after our former mayor. I think it's a great honor, and I think it would be very, very well received by many members of our community. Our fire services are great. So if you can come to the Memorial Day service in White Meadow Lake, it's been a tradition since I was 10 or 12. Please come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stegman.
No
Yogi
comment.
Gupta?
No comment.
Ms. Seeger,
That's
have we
it,
got
Council
any,
President.
thank you. Have we got any emails, Ms. Seeger?
Not at this time, Mr. Jackson.
Next is ordinances to introduce. We have O-21-23, an ordinance amending chapter 54 entitled Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Rockaway to permit medical and recreational cannabis facilities. Can I have a motion?
Council President, you have to close the open to the public. You didn't do that.
Okay, I'm closing.
No,
open
we
to-
don't.
No, we don't.
Let me
Okay,
get-
thank you. Mr. Quinn, anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Second that.
Friedlander. Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Council President, who, can you just
Mr.
repeat the
Quinn and
motion?
Mr. Quinn and Mr. Friedlander.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon? Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, that's 9 yeses. Motion carries. Next, the consent agenda. We have R21-83, R21-84, R21-85, R21-86, R21-87, R21-88, R21-89. Got a
Council
motion?
President, can we make a motion to remove F and G, which would be R2188 and R2189, just for a small discussion and a vote?
Anybody like to second that motion?
Well, it's really the consent agenda. I think Mrs. Clipperton can help us out with that. I think we remove it automatically.
Anybody like to second that motion?
You're not going to talk about a contract.
Okay,
Mrs. Clipperton, on a consent agenda, if you're not getting it and one wants to request discussion, it is removed. Isn't that correct?
The clerk desk reference that I used in my municipal clerk courses states that if it's requested, it can be removed for discussion. It has been practice of this council to have a motion and a second to remove
Is
agenda
it
items
required to
as
have a motion
current.
to remove it?
Mr. Yachafano.
Required, no, but it's
Mr.
practice of this
Yachafano.
council and has been advised by Mr. Achafano.
So the desk
Yachafano,
reference
is there any
says that
problem with
you,
this? Is that would ask requiring a motion in a second, Mr. Yachafano?
just to talk about the two items, gentlemen, if there's no interruption, to be very quick. And it's going to help Mr. Leardy out as well.
Nothing's quick with you.
Yeah, Mr. Kritz, you know what? If everybody would stop talking when I'm asking questions, you wouldn't have the issue.
Mr. Yachafano?
That wasn't me, Council President.
Was it?
Yes, is there a problem us using a motion in a second to remove item?
As Ms. Clifford has pointed out, that is the policy we've consistently followed.
Okay. Does anybody want to second Mr. Kelly's motion?
Policy with that, Mrs. Clifford?
Okay.
Stop muting me, Mrs.
I have a
Peterson, please.
motion for the consent agenda.
just to talk about two items.
Motion, Mr. Kelly, you're out of order. You're not recognized. Have a motion for the consent
I'll make
agenda.
another motion then, Council President.
Go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
We're just going to remove G R 2189 for discussion only then.
Anybody want to second that? Okay. Is there a motion to review the consent agenda? Vote the consent agenda.
So
I make the
moved.
motion.
Okay, Mr. Quinn and Mr. Stack. Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
You won't let me have discussion. I abstain.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon, Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 8 yeses, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Next is Resolution R 21-90, authorizing the township to place a permanent sign naming the Peterson Field basketball courts the Michael G. Datson basketball courts. Have a motion.
President, discussion on that?
I have a motion.
Second. I'll
So
make the
moved.
motion.
Mr. Quinn and Mr. Friedlander.
Do we have discussion on that?
5 minutes of discussion. Go ahead.
Council,
Start off.
if anybody wants to go before me before I talk.
Go ahead.
We have up here the naming of the basketball courts with regard to our late mayor that had passed away in August of 2018. Would it be any harm to actually amend the entire complex to include Mayor Dackerson? I mean, Peterson Field is named after a fallen police officer, Bob Peterson, I believe. I think his nickname was Pete back in the day when it was built. And because he had passed while he was still in service in Rockaway Township. And we have a similarity here of Mayor Dackerson that had passed away during his service. And obviously he had a passion for recreation. I mean, he didn't participate in basketball. And we were working, with some issues with the basketball courts back in 2018, as a lot of the emails exchanged will show. But I think that the overall picture of his involvement with coaching and his passion for it, even when it was put on referendum and it didn't pass, he was very disappointed. But what harm would it be if we were to amend the name, the Peterson Dackerson Field Complex or something of that, rather than just a small area of the basketball courts? Is that something maybe might be a possibility to do?
Council President, may I speak?
Yes.
I had looked into that and it's a legal issue. The land was donated. I'd have to do more research into that. The land was donated, so it might be in perpetuity. I don't know if that's a possibility. That was explored already. I'm just going to give my opinion. For right now, since the basketball courts are opening and they're around the corner, that we proceed with this because we can always change it at a later date. So this would be
I'm
something
not saying to
nice
stop it,
to put in
Mr.
place.
Mayor. I'm only
No, I didn't accuse you of saying anything. I just giving
Not
my
this time.
opinion. Yeah, I didn't accuse you.
And I understand that, but I think under the circumstances that I don't know what level that you explored of the donation of the land, or maybe those who had donated it under these conditions. Again, another fallen official or employee or volunteer that has put so much time into the recreation end of it. I mean, maybe that might be a pitch. Have you talked to the people that donated it? Mr. Mayor?
No, I have not, Mr. Kelly.
Okay. It was just a suggestion. I thought it would be a good thing to name the whole complex rather than a small area.
Anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay.
Nobody wants to talk
Clerk,
about it?
Clerk, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses, motion carries, and well deserved, and our thoughts are with you, Kathy, and hopefully, you know, this is meaningful for you and your family. So, you know, thank you, everybody, for voting yes. Before we get into reports, I want to, because last time we didn't get to it, I want to talk about the cancellation of the meetings. So, Chrissy, which meetings did we agree to cancel, and we can make a motion to do so? I know we moved the June meeting. Which are the meetings we're looking to cancel?
we were looking to cancel the second meeting scheduled for the months of June, July, and August.
Do we need the actual dates to do that?
I don't believe so. I
Do we
can
need to do this?
get them very quickly if you would like me to.
Mrs. Clipperton, do we need to actually do this? Can we just cancel the meetings?
I would like to have the formal action of the council rather than have just me arbitrarily canceling meetings. I mean, if there's no objection, I don't think we need a roll call vote. If we can propose canceling the second meetings of the months of June, July, and August
via email.
if there's, well, I shouldn't be making decisions like that based on.
I make a motion to cancel the meetings in July, August, in the second meeting in June, July, and August.
Okay.
But we already addressed that last time.
Hang on.
We never did. I second the motion.
Hang on.
Take a roll call.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, we're up for a vote. There's no discussion during a motion, Mr. Fritz.
Mr. President, may I make a
So we'll
comment?
do it for you.
I have a motion, a second. We need to vote.
Okay.
Hey, sorry.
Please do the roll.
Chrissy, please do the roll.
Give me one moment, please. I'm just trying to write it down. Councilmember Kelly,
Is it understood what I'm making a motion for?
the cancellation of the second meetings in the month of June, July, and August.
That's it, yes.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson,
Yes, that's 9 yeses, motion carries. Thank you for that. Next, we'll do reports. Mr. Friedlander. And as we've done in past practice, we're combining old business, new business, and reports, and every council member gets 10 minutes. So, Mr. Friedlander, you could start us off.
I thought we had
Oh, that's
15 minutes. 5 minutes for each.
No, we did 10 minutes last week. Thank you for interrupting again, Mr. Kelly. Go ahead, Mr.
Very well.
Friedlander.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just a couple things. The Historical Society, I made a mention last meeting that they had an event, outside event by the church / library on Green Pond. And tell you, it was well received. There was a lot of information given, old pictures, ornaments. And the weather held up, which made it even nicer. By my count, I was there 3 hours, and there were well over 40 people attending it. And it was a nice flow. Also, I want to thank the chief because of so many people walking around the library. We had some police officers doing a little safety issue. So cars would cross, cars would go by Green Pond. So that went well. I'm going to segue into the library because when I was there that Sunday, I walked around the building and I saw a couple issues that I thought could be addressed. Spoke to the mayor and he spoke to DPW, and they were addressed this past week. So there was a little cleanup that had to be done, and that was taken care of. So thank you for addressing it right away. As far as that, that's it. The library is still moving ahead, and more things are getting done. I just want to let you know that people were asking at the last, talking about the Board of Assessment. When's it going to happen? If you want to mark down on your calendar, you'll probably see it. There's a scheduled meeting May 26th at 7:30 for the Board of Assessment meeting. I believe it's in the municipal building because we don't have that many people that are on that committee, so they'll be spaced out in a safety manner. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Freelander. Mr. Kelly, you're up.
Thank you.
A couple things real quick. Hey, Manny.
Yes.
Thank you for the Board of Assessment Commissioner meeting that you just noticed. It's going to be in person, as you said, right?
Yes.
How many commissioners do you have?
Well, I believe there's 5 plus 1 alternate.
6, and then it would be open to the public?
Well, it's going to be probably published, so yes.
It'd have to be open to the public.
Have to be open to the public if it's a meeting in the municipal building, yes.
And real quick too, Mr. Garabrandt has openly stated that he's retiring, and that was another key component to this assessment.
Well, that's
what's the
what
backup plan before he, during his retirement?
Well, I'm sure we'll find out. We'll find out at the meeting, because this came up. I mean, we just realized that he was retiring this month.
Yeah, I think he put his papers in before then, but
yeah. Well,
thank you,
by
Mr.
the time
Freelander.
I found out, or anybody else, probably it was later.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Freelander.
You're welcome.
Is Mr. Perone there? Mr. Perone? Carl? Mrs. Clipperton, is Carl Perone online here?
But I was having trouble with my mute.
Yeah. Mr. Perone? Are you there now, Mr. Perone?
Yes.
Is there a reason why we have 2 town attorneys tonight?
That's not for me to answer, Mr. Kelly.
I'm asking you, what was the need for an additional attorney tonight to bill the taxpayers?
Council
What
President,
was
this is
your purpose to
inappropriate.
participate in tonight?
Listen, it's everybody knows inappropriate. You just got to ignore it.
Thank you, Mr. Perone. The one thing I was wanted to mention too, the recycling hours. We had Mrs. Seeger had mentioned about the recycling hours increasing on the Saturdays, but at the time when it was spoken, I don't remember hearing that it was actually closed on Mondays now. And the last 2 Mondays, the traffic of people coming in and out of the recycling center and being directed to be turned around so that they can leave because it's closed. But you have a recycling attendant at the recycling center at the municipal building directing people to leave. Well, if the attendant is there, why can't the recycling continue? And then the one up by the bus garage in our DPW building, the gate is always open. It wouldn't deter anybody from dumping their recyclables on a Monday. So was it really necessary to close it and still have the employee work there? Mrs. Seeger?
Reports
answer.
right now.
The other thing I was talking about was, again, the sewer commission with Mr. Garabrandt. And Mr. Yachafano, are you there? Town council, are you there? Mr. Yachafano?
I'm here, Mr. Kelly.
Did you have an opportunity to review the minutes from back in October 25th of 2016 as to what you meant that you were ready to move forward for the assessments for the sewers?
What is the question, Mr. Kelly?
I asked you if you reviewed the minutes of that meeting as to what you meant when you said that we were ready to move forward back in 2016.
No, I have not, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Achafano. The other thing that I wanted to talk to in regards to Mr. Liardi. Mr. Liardi, the reason why I voted against the farmer's market permit was not that it was a permit that was being issued. My problem was that we had discounted the fees greatly to the organizer, which I believe did not pass the discount to the other vendors that he collects money from to participate in his farmer's market. So it was nothing against the market itself or the vendors. I just thought that that would be the way to do it. My question to Mr. Liardi in the POA was that you guys are not for profit, and there is an opportunity for the mayor to waive any fees. And since you've been a pillar in the community as White Meadow Lake, again, even doing the firehouse, the events that you have there, and inviting us for the parades and stuff like that, I thought that it would be maybe an opportunity for us to waive that, since it's a provision in that ordinance. And because we couldn't have the discussions and it's part of the consent agenda, it's unfortunate that I'm forced to vote one way or the other because the rest of the council won't allow something to be removed for a separate vote or conversation. It's sad that that happens. The other report I have is today we lost power. Mr. Bush from the fire company of Hibernia kind of nailed it. There's been some problems in the past, not only with Hibernia Fire Department, but Mount Hope also had a problem where they couldn't even open up a door because they had power outages and there's no maintenance on the generator or repairs. But today we lost 600 homes. And the reason why we lost 600 homes was we had a contractor that actually had hit the wires on Telemark Road. Mrs. Seeger, were you aware of any of that that issue that happened today on Telemark Road with the power outage and a contractor hitting the wires today?
Kelly, she'll discuss it in her reports. Ms. Seeger, just hold on a minute. We'll discuss it in our reports, Mr. Kelly. This is
I'd like to have
reports,
an
not,
answer now because I might have a follow-up question.
this is reports, not question and answer time.
Mr. Puzio, I got to remind you, you're just the guest right now, so don't tell me what's a report, not questions or answers. It's the only time that I get to have a conversation on the record when we have quorum, so we can have discussion.
Councilman, you can continue to speak.
You're not going to direct me as to
Continue.
what I can do, Mr. Mayor. You do not run the meeting, but I appreciate you trying to be that way and dictate it. Thank you. So, Mrs. Seeger, we had a contractor that
Ms.
was actually
Seeger,
cutting a
please.
tree down
Ms. Seeger,
over
please
at the
answer that in your
Telemark Park.
reports. Thank you.
Mrs. Seeger, there was a contractor, I believe, hired by the township to cut a tree down over in Telemark Park. And because of their efforts that they did, they damaged the lines that were there, losing power for 600 people. That includes businesses that are there. It put our fire company in a dire situation because the backup generator didn't function. Thank God we didn't have a call or a fire when that had happened. But the contractor just left the scene. Never contacted police, never contacted JCP&L. So what do we do about the damage that had happened, the loss of business and the ability to do transactions in the neighboring businesses that rely on power for their credit card machines, their ATM machines? How do we address that moving forward? I mean, Mr. Mayor, you've complained about loss of power with JCP&L, and now a contractor that we hired created this outage. Now what do we do? Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor? You were very vocal when other issues came up with JCP&L. How do we address this issue?
It's in
Mr.
our
Mayor?
reports. I'll
Well, why
address it
can't
in
you
my
answer me now? One last thing that we have on here. Mr. Kritz, that's there, and maybe you can help me and address it afterwards. Somebody had made a comment to me. I guess they're friends with you on Facebook. I don't have your Facebook. But you had a post in there about, going on YouTube and doing things yourself to save you money. I think you might have been repairing something at your own home for yourself, and it saves you money and time. Is there a reason why we don't apply that same mentality to projects and efforts within Rockaway Township? I mean, there's a lot of projects that we have that our DPW and the men and women that work within the recreation, our DPW, even in our engineering end of it, could really offset a lot of the cost of doing things in-house, that a lot of them have the certifications and license to do so. as well as the talent. And we have great talent. Is there a reason why we don't really tap into that talent to do some of these in-house repairs, constructions, even plans to offset a lot of the taxpayers' money on some of the projects that, you know, we're involved with? Mr. Critch, you're more than welcome to answer that if you wish.
You want me to address that?
Oh, yeah, I would love to. Small dialogue, nothing crazy.
Well, I'm flattered that you followed my Facebook.
I don't. Somebody brought it to my
No,
attention.
no, he made very clear he doesn't. He has somebody else stalking you for him.
I'm very flattered that my Facebook.
Mr. Critz,
Yeah.
this is reports. This is reports. Mr. Kelly should be doing a report. You know, it's.
Well, I think, Mr. Jackson, my reports about the damage from JCP&L from our own contractor that our administration hired.
Yep,
and they're talking about the special events permit.
Yeah.
The other issues about our town attorneys that are both here that are not necessary because they've never been both
right
on a constant basis. I know you approve it. I mean, you talk to them most of the day while you're working for ADP, while you're on town time and ADP time. Come on.
Are you going to call my employer like you've done for other people in town and try?
No, I'm sure he already knows about it.
Before.
But the last thing that I have on here, Mr. Jackson, is that we had the resolution R2189. And my question at the time that the council didn't want to allow me to speak and have it pulled from the consent agenda as required under the nurse's desktop. What are we actually doing for this? Because in this resolution, it just says we have supports improvement and repair of public recreation facilities, including parks, municipal recreation centers, and local stadiums. And then it also goes on a third whereas where it says community centers, playgrounds, pools, fields, walking and bike trails, rail trails, multiple sport courts, recreation facilities. Are we dedicating this grant for a specific thing that's only for Park Lake? Or are we getting grant money where we can disseminate that monies into other projects outside of Park Lake? I mean, you did put on number 5 that you're the sole owner of property of block 11201 and lot 1, known as Park Lake. But in this resolution, you never dedicated anything specifically to what we were doing in that area. So is that something that that we can talk about as to what we're doing there? I mean, I know you already passed the resolution, but there's a lot of ambiguity here as to what we're actually doing. What are the improvements? Mr. Jackson, do you know? Mr. Jackson?
I'm not here to answer your questions, Mr. Kelly.
You're the council president that voted in favor of this, and you don't know what it's in reference to?
I didn't say I don't know. I said I'm not here
You're not going to tell me. So you're not going to tell me.
Your questions. Boy, you're sick, man. You need help, dude.
So you're not going to tell me a simple question.
Are you done with your report?
No, I'm looking to see if you can give me some guidance. What was this referencing of the repair or improvement on Park Lake? It's simple. See, this is what it is, Mr. Jackson. A simple question. You're going to drag it out for 5 minutes. And then say you're not recognized. You don't want to answer.
My job's not to answer your questions.
Well, nothing hinders you from answering the question. You're the council president. You don't even know what this resolution's for.
Do you remember those couple of months you were council president?
Did a lot of work, did a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, you did a lot.
Remember, I'm the guy that lowered the taxes by $1.5 million, not you.
Okay.
Not you, bud.
Come on.
I'm sorry that you can't answer the question, and it's sad that you didn't know it before you voted for it.
I'm sorry.
You voted on things you don't even know about. I love it.
Maybe I know about it, and you should know about it, but you choose to make a public spectacle.
So you don't want to tell me. So you're going to disenfranchise me the information.
I'm not
You're going to discriminate me, aren't you?
Lawsuit 6. Get ready, everybody. Here we go. Disenfranchising. It's a big term.
Well, you're only doing it to intentionally harass me on it. That's all, Mr. Jackson. You can simply answer.
Stop using words like that. You're unbelievable.
No, that's what you're
doing.
doing.
Your time is up, Mr. Kelly. Next, Mr. Critz. I'm muting Mr. Critz.
I just did. So just to continue from before, I'm very flattered that my Facebook posts are the topic of discussion amongst other council members.
Be sure to follow me for more recipes and home repair tips. But I don't think it's I don't think it's responsible to compare me talking about fixing my dishwasher, and saving $100 with other larger scale, repairs in town.
Yeah. What?
Stop interrupting people, Mr. Kelly. You're out of order. Everybody lets you do your report. Stop interrupting everybody. You're a child. Go ahead, Mr. Kritz.
That being said, I'm very happy to see the resolution tonight for renaming the basketball courts. I think it's well deserved. I want to commend the town workers for the work they're doing on the fields. So, I know, we've had a lot of rain lately. The maintenance that they're doing on the ball fields is to be commended. Sunday morning early, these guys are out making sure that those fields are playable and chalked and ready for the kids. I don't know if everybody understands the amount of work that these guys are doing, like I say, early on a Sunday morning to make sure that the kids have good playable fields. But they are to be commended. The CDC recently, or is going to be very soon, recommending vaccines for kids between 12 and 15. I strongly recommend that we, where the parents feel it's right, that we get those kids vaccinated, especially, with school. I know school's almost out, but before you know it, we'll be back in September, hopefully in a full in-person setting. And then just along that term, vaccines are very readily available right now. There's almost no wait. You can usually get same-day appointments. I know that the amount of vaccinations is starting to level off or even decline, but I strongly recommend that if you have not gotten a vaccine yet, please consider getting it. The sooner we do it, the sooner we'll get back to normal. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alberg.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Actually, I'd like to start it with a request for next meeting. I guess this would go to our clerk. I'd like it read into the record. What are the guidelines for old business, new business, and reports? I assume there's something in print as to limitations, general advisement as to what should be covered on that, because I have a feeling it's not instigation, it's not question and answer to anyone that decides to be in his crosshairs. It's getting old, it's getting tired. So I would ask, and I'll follow this up with a formal request via email, that's read into record so everybody understands what new business, old business, and reports is for. Beyond that, I was with Councilman Friedman at the Historical Society Day at the Miners Church. It was a great opportunity. Ingrid Susi did a great job bringing a lot of new folks who didn't really understand the history of our town. Kind of get an idea just how important we were to the Revolutionary War all the way through the Industrial Revolution. So it was a great day. JCP&L has begun cutting down some of the residential trees that they came through and taped a couple of weeks ago. So that's good as the war against our diseased ash trees continues. I think those were really the main things. But again, I would like just some further definition as to what's allowed during old business, new business, and reports. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Noon.
Yes, just one thing. Birchwood School is doing a Dine to Donate that benefits the 5th graders. It's at Deliza's Pizza, which is 145 King Street in Dover, and it started today and it ends on Thursday. And
Delicia's.
And that's it. It's today, tomorrow, and Thursday.
Awesome. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. I would say to Mr. Kritz, I do miss the fuzzy little animals that you used to post on Facebook. That was the only reason I followed you on Facebook.
I think that was his profile picture.
It might have been. Secondly, I believe the Parks Lake stuff, Allison Ferranti went over that last meeting or the meeting before. what that was all about, so that if you go back to your notes, Councilman Kelly, you'll probably be able to get that information.
What is it then?
I don't need to tell you. She told us the last time.
He just keeps writing down all work and no.
What is it, Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Boy. Go ahead.
So, so you can go back to that. Also, just wanted to say Peterson Field is looking good. And I just wanted to commend all the other residents who are using the other parts of the field. And every time that I'm there, they've been staying away and following the sign to keep away, because there is some large equipment over there and we don't want any kids playing on it. So I just want to commend all the people for, staying away from that area. Other than that, I'm good for this month.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank the council for voting to get the basketball courts named after our past mayor, Mike Datchison. He worked hard to get those courts done, and the prior council refused to even work with him on that.
Mr. Kelly, you're out of order.
Especially
time to speak. Oh my God, you're psycho, man. Will you stop? Stop staring into the screen. Go ahead, Mr. Quinn.
Not true.
Go back to the tapes and look.
And don't engage. Listen, you can't engage, Mr. Quinn. Mr. Kelly, stop. You're out of order again. Mr. Quinn,
and then he turns around and tries to name the entire complex after him. It's the biggest joke I've ever heard.
He's running for re-election, Mr. Quinn.
I know. He licked the past mayor and got convicted of it. He harassed him at work, and now he's trying to make good so he can get elected. Forget it.
On for something, Mr. Quinn.
Now, Pops American Food, that was the old Stewart's, is doing soft opening. They're testing out their stuff. It's American food, hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken fingers, fries. They have nice parking spot. The place is beautiful. I stopped by there, talked to the owner today. They are excited to work with Rockaway Township and especially giving back to the town. So another great business in Rockaway Township. Rocco's Haircuts and More is offering free haircuts to the PAL people. Last month, they gave free haircuts to the Challenger program, another great business in our town. These are all positive things. The tennis courts and basketball courts are looking phenomenal. I can't wait for opening day. And I am excited that the spring sports are really going full steam. And yes, the rec department that take care of these fields, work hard. They do a great job. We have to give them their due. They do a fantastic job. I am also looking forward to having this council work on the next phases as we move forward. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you. Vice President Sackett.
Want to thank Howard Kritz. He put a video up on YouTube about barbecuing, so I learned a lot. Thank you. Keep posting those tips on your Facebook page. I appreciate it. Also, I just find it funny that Mr. Kelly is trying to make a big deal out of Mike Datchison. Remember, you voted against the courts. You voted against the whole project. So don't try to come in there. Don't try to come in there and steal thunder.
Not true, but
out of order, Mr. Kelly.
If it was up to
You're out of order, Mr. Kelly.
If it was up to you,
you're out of order, Mr. Kelly.
Show me.
If it was up to you,
you're out of order, Mr. Kelly.
We wouldn't until you got anything. You never wanted to do anything. Anything important for the town. Anything important for the town, you vote no. So you never voted yes.
Stop embarrassing the sixth ward. You're out of order.
You haven't voted yes for one thing important for the town. So don't try to come in there and make a deal about Mike Datchison, a guy you hated. So don't try to pretend
Show the minutes, Mr.
you were buddies with him because
Stop
you
it,
were.
Mr. Kelly, you're out of order.
Okay.
You're
So
out
thank
of
you
order,
for
Mr.
interrupting
Kelly.
me. I sat there and I was quiet when you gave your report. So
Mr.
have a little
Sackett.
courteousness and be quiet.
No,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Mr. Sackett.
He's a
Quiet,
child.
quiet,
He
Mr.
has no respect for others. He's a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah. A couple other things.
Mr. Sackett.
Chris Bush. I don't know if you're still on, Chris, but heard your report. So I definitely like to. Hopefully, I want to hear from administration on that, Chris, and hopefully we can get this situation cleared up. And also Michael Artie as well with some of these issues. Let's try to get this cleared up sooner than later. Also, there's been a lot of different events. I haven't seen Mr. Kelly Adam, but there's been a lot of events with a lot of people in town with the Renegades programs, with various events, with I've seen a lot of other people coming out. And there was a nice event up in Jefferson. A ton of people from Rockaway were there. And also last weekend in Roxbury with the Renegades program.
Send me the invite.
Two different lacrosse tournaments. I don't have to send you an invite. Do a little work yourself. I don't have to do your
Mr.
work.
Kelly, you're out of order again. Mr.
You're
Kelly.
busy.
Mr. Kelly, you're out of order.
I'll drop
Stalking
order.
Howard Fritz's Facebook page. We're out there doing
Mr.
so go do some work. I'm looking forward to actually Babe Ruth.
Stop talking, Mr. Kelly. You're out of order.
Hey, Mr. Kelly, I'm inviting you. Listen, I'm inviting you to Babe Ruth. We have some games. Thursday, Peterson Field. Come on down. Saturday, also at Oak Meadow. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So here's the invite right there. Okay, so we got Oak Meadow right near you. Saturday, Babe Ruth. There's a lot of baseball games. Come on down. Okay. And also, there's been a lot of different issues going on throughout my ward. And I really want to applaud administration, how efficient they've been bringing certain issues to them. They've been very easy to work with, and they get back to me right away. And I just want to say thank you. And that's my report. That's how you do a report. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Kritz. It's a shame Mr. Kelly has no respect for anybody but himself. So I'm going to bypass my report to give the mayor extra time tonight. So, Mr. Mayor, if you want to go into your report, please do.
Yes, thank you.
Clerk, please, Ms. Clipperton.
Mr. Kelly, you're out
I'm
of
asking
order.
the clerk.
Mr. Kelly, you're out of order. Please stop
I have
talking.
a question for the clerk, real
Can-
quick.
can I speak?
Can you
I
grow
have a
up?
question for the clerk,
Yes, you
Mr.
can speak.
Jackson.
Can I
She's my
speak? Thank
secretary.
you.
Ms.
Mr.
Clipperton.
I'd like to
Clipperton.
answer. Could you please mute Mr. Kelly? I'm trying to give a report. Thank you.
It's unbelievable.
No, you can't.
Thank you. It's
have
it's
a
my
question.
it's my
Mr. Kelly.
turn. It's my time. I wish
Go ahead,
I would
Mr.
wish that he
Go ahead.
would respect my
Clerk, Mr.
time.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. I want to answer
have
a couple quick.
Pacifier.
I
Go ahead,
can't
Mr.
even
Mayor.
get a word. All right. Thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Waters
Mayor.
asked a question in terms of what position or what responsibility the council has in hiring personnel, managing personnel. In our form of government, the council has no input in terms of hiring personnel. When appropriate, I do try to work with the council in certain areas, but ultimately under our form of government, it's the law, it's the way we're structured. The council has no input. The mayor, whoever the mayor is at the time, or his designee is the appointing authority for police, for department heads and things of that nature. I also want to thank our town attorneys. Many of you know, you see Mr. Perrone, you see we have two attorneys at our meetings lately. We've been doing a lot of work with ordinances. We've been getting quite a bit of work done, as you can see over the past year. And I like to have them there in case there's questions that need to be answered. I think it's good practice right now. But I also want to point out something that you don't see. I speak to our town attorneys regularly, and quite often they do not bill us for town work. So that doesn't get shown. That's not put out there. I spoke with Mr. Perrone last week, and he, on many occasions, he said, I'm going to look into this. I'm not going to charge the town. So I have to applaud them on that. You don't see those ends. All you see are innuendos that someone tries to make it look like double billing. I want to thank Mr. Bush, if he's still on, for his service to the fire department. Our fire department, our EMS, our police, our first responders, especially our fire department and EMS, they are volunteers. I have the utmost respect for them, and I want to make sure that they get all the tools that they need. I'm going to speak to Pat. I'm going to let her speak in her report, but some of these complaints that were brought up tonight, I am unaware of. The fire department has a structure where they have a chief who runs the department, and the process is if the firemen have issues or concerns, they would bring those to the chief, to the current chief that was sworn in January. He would come down to administration and speak to us about those concerns. So some of these things I'm unaware of. And I would just want to urge the council as well. Mr. Kelly spoke a lot. I don't know if it's factual. I don't know the circumstances around it, about power outages, generator outages, all these things that went on today. But he's bringing them to the administration now at a meeting. I would assume that, like other council people, if they see something throughout the day, if a tree falls down or there's a problem, or they see something in town, that they would do their job and notify the administration immediately, not at a council meeting of their concerns, hours and hours after the event took place. We try to help each other. This is what this is about, a team. I get calls, I get questions from all of the other council people in real time. If there's a tree that falls down, if there's an accident, if they see something, I can't, it's a big town. I can't be everywhere. I'm not a full-time mayor. It's not a full-time position. I can't be everywhere. I also want to speak to White Meadow Lake. We have been working with them. Once again, this falls under the span of control of the mayor's office, of the administration. We certainly will continue to work with White Meadow Lake to work through any issues. This is what we do. This is what the process is. We are also, Ms. Degnan, we are also currently working. I understand your frustration with Town Hall being closed, and that's why we're currently working on a reopening plan. I want to bring something to, obviously, we've been dealing with Atlantic Health for the past year now with the pandemic, getting the vaccination center up with the county and the federal government. They've done a wonderful job, our partners there. But I also want to make note, Atlantic Health is a fantastic organization. Has a fantastic health pavilion in town. I took a tour again the other day. I try to stay in touch with local businesses that have impact in our town, and Atlantic Health obviously services many folks' health needs both in and out of Rockaway. I just want to make you aware that they're in the process of setting up a surgical center in their facility, in the health pavilion. In the past 4 years, they have increased their services to Rockaway Township, to the surrounding towns, tenfold. I went on a tour a few years ago, and they were great then. They are head and shoulders above what they were 4 years ago. It is an amazing center, all of the offerings that they have, and now they're going to be offering a surgical center right here in Rockaway Township. So bravo to them. Peterson is coming along nicely. I appreciate all of the council people who have been working, the entire council that has supported the project, and also the committee. Like I said, I work through recreation committees, and that involves Doug Brooks, Jack Quinn, and Jonathan Sackett, who are on that committee. I appreciate their dedication, their time, their availability, their flexibility coming into town hall. Jonathan is constantly, along with Doug and Jack, constantly putting out questions as to how our fields are utilized. So, so Rockaway Township residents, get the most out of those fields, and we can maintain them and manage them in a proper way. That's it for my report tonight. It was another interesting meeting. I always feel sometimes like I get ambushed because I never get from one person, Mr. Kelly. He never sends in any questions prior or allows me to prepare for any of his questions. It's very difficult to answer someone's questions when they've prepared over the weekend and have a game plan. I try to do the best I can. Pat tries to do the best she can, but it's basically a meeting by ambush, and it's sad. but we are moving forward. The town is really starting to shine. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yachafano,
No report, Council President.
Mr. Seeger,
Yes, Council President. I wanted to let Mrs. Degnan know we are working on a plan to open the building sometime, as Council President said, in mid-July. And we have never turned anybody away from the municipal building. We had people come in, and one of the council people come in and pay his bill yesterday. It wasn't a day we were open, but you just there's a phone number on the front door. You just call that number, and most of the employees will come out and help you what you need. We have a Dropbox. We have a lot of online service. So we are there. If Mrs. Degman ever needs to come in, or anybody else, they can call my office, and I'd be happy to meet them outside if an employee doesn't meet you out there. But we try to accommodate everybody. We usually don't turn anybody away. So feel free to give us a call. We are all there working, so we will be attentive to that. As far as the firemen, as the mayor said, we appreciate all the firemen, and there is a process of a fire chief that's elected that everybody's supposed to go to. Mr. Bush has never once reached out to administration office, and when he fixed a part, if I remember correctly, but I have to research it, it was a part that he needed for the truck on the weekend. He went out and got it on the weekend and fixed it because he noticed it was broken, and we reimbursed it. And Joe Organo is the fire chief, and he is constantly stopping by my office telling me, thanks for the support. You've repaired everything we've asked for. I've never turned them down for anything that I know of. And if there is an issue, he needs to go to the fire chief and follow the procedures that the fire department has set up. And we will be happy to fix that equipment. It needs to be working in working order. And I think this council has approved their budget. We've never cut anything out of it. So I don't understand where Mr. Bush is coming from. And he can call me anytime and I will speak to him. And it probably took 6 months to get paid because he needed to get a W-9 to us. And then it takes the process of getting a PO. That's the procedure from the finance department. As far as the POA, I have been working with them and their attorney for the last 2 weeks, I think daily phone calls. And as far as I know, they're not a 501c3, not for profit. And they do charge for the food trucks to be there. But I will continue to work with the White Meadow Lake POA and come to a conclusion that will be happy for both of us. As far as the outage today, yes, I am aware of the outage that happened today. I was on the phone with J.C. Pinell. They were very responsive to let me know there was an outage. They didn't know the issue. They had to call in extra help. They kept us informed the whole time. And I will have to investigate. But the only reason I know that it might have been, I don't know if it's true, but Mr. Kelly informed JCP&L that he saw our contractor there and he said it was them, but I do not have proof that it was them or what they caused. And until it's investigated, I would rather not say what happened, but we handle that as we handle any outage. It's, you know, if a car accident, I actually thought it was a car accident that someone told me hit a pole, but it wasn't. So I will look into that in the future. And I did Michael Artie, I did Chris Bush, POA, the contractor. I think I hit everybody's questions. If I missed any, council.
Nope,
Okay.
you did. Yep.
All right, and I want to thank everybody for their support. And please, my office's door is always open, as everybody knows. And I'm there. I was there till 8:30 last night, and I can answer anybody's phone calls. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ferrante?
No report, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Dyer?
No report, Council President. Thank you.
Council
Mrs.
President, I have a
Palmieri?
motion.
Mrs. Palmieri? Mrs.
I have a
Palmieri?
motion.
You can wait till Ms. Palmieri goes and I'll let you make your motion. Go ahead, Ms. Palmieri.
Thank you. No report. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
I'm sorry, Ms. Palmieri. I didn't think that you were on the line there. Yeah, I just want to make a motion. Just want to confirm that I need to make the motion Mrs. Clipperton? Ms. Clipperton,
I'm here, Mr. Kelly.
do I need to make a motion to have something part of the record, or can I just ask you that?
I spoke with Mr. Achafano regarding how to include anything other than submitted business items, agenda items added to the record as far as the minutes are concerned. He recommended that he advised that they should be added by a motion second and approval of the council.
Well, I'm going to ask you to add the items that I had submitted for discussion on line 12 of the agenda to part of the record and as well as in the minute book. And I disagree. Was there any citation or a statute that Mr. Yachafano provided?
Are you making a motion, Mr. Kelly?
Well, I'm making sure whether or not I have to make one. She is our secretary, Mr. Jackson. I can't talk.
And I believe she already answered your question.
No, she didn't. Is there a citation or a statute that was provided to you?
Are you
Not
making
that
a
I recall,
motion?
Mr. Kelly, but I don't have his advice in front of me. I wouldn't be
Okay.
able to tell you.
So you have recognized that I'm asking you to make something part of the record of the materials that were submitted for item 12 for the discussion for reports and records requested under NJSA 40:69A37(1) and NJSA 47:1.
Mr. Kelly, I recognize your request, but the discussion didn't take place, so.
But it was still something that was removed that the members of the public have no idea what was removed. And I don't think it matters that are on there. Did you have an opportunity to speak to another clerk about this?
Yes, I
Motion to
did.
adjourn. Anybody
Thank
want to
you.
make a motion to adjourn?
So that
Motion
I
to
just want
adjourn.
that
He's
added
just-
to the
he's
record
just
and included in the
Second by
minute book.
Mr. Quinn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.